Welcome everyone to the Chompcast, the official podcast of Sword Chomp and swordchomp.com. Thank you for downloading or streaming our podcast and taking some time out of your busy life to listen to us. And remember, if you're digging the show, please subscribe or leave us a kind rating wherever you download the show. It really helps us meet a bigger audience and reach out to find new people. We have a special show today, this very special Chompcast, and we have a mystery guest that I will be introducing here in just a moment. But first, let's get to know the crew that you love. Quick introductions for the co-hosts. From Michigan, the one and only Joshua Fowler's here. Hello, Josh.
They love me. That's so nice.
It's imprinting, Josh. If I tell them they love you every week, eventually it will just become true.
It's how most of your relationships have started. Yeah.
That's more accurate than you think it is, Josh.
Jesus.
Scarily accurate. Scarily. I couldn't say that. Scarily accurate. Whatever, Josh. You're on point.
Richard Scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, Josh.
Lee is really scary.
There you go. Lee's really scary.
That's racist.
That other voice from Japan is Sir Shay Layton. How are you doing today, Shay?
I'm doing great. How are you, Scary Lee?
I am wonderful, and glad you could be here on this fine. Well, I guess it's morning in Japan, so glad you could be here on this fine morning where you're at.
It is a fine morning, nice and humid.
And of course, last but not least, from Texas, making his grand entrance through a handlebar mustache-shaped vape cloud, smelling of motor oil and KY jelly, Anthony Fisher.
Hey, guys.
How you doing, Fish?
I sure hope those two things are connected.
Of course.
Those two scents.
Scent of Fisher, is that what your fragrance smells like, Fish?
Oil and KY. Does KY actually have a scent? I've never used that stuff.
Yeah, he's got
now you know which one is used.
got a
as
two-stroke dildo.
Yeah. To me, it smells like it smells like divorce. To me, that's all I can remember. It smells like the worst times of my life. Glad to have you here, Fish. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you. Glad to be here.
And of course, I am your host, Morgan from Montana. But our special guest, probably waiting patiently to say something as we say all these strange things around him. He's a writer for a video game website that you've probably heard of, Destructoid.com. And I'm sure by the end of the show, you'll love him as much as we do. Rich Meister is here. Hello, Rich.
Hi, guys. How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I have some thoughts on the smell of KY jelly, like just circling, but in and out, one and the other. But we can just move on.
In and out.
KY jelly is good for that.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
That's actually their slogan now, in and out, with KY jelly. We are glad you are here. We just call you Rich, is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Cool. Rich Meister. Not to be confused with Rich Meister, who is currently in the Citadel scraping the flesh off Ser Jorah Mormont, correct? No one's going to get my Game of Thrones joke there.
I'm really behind
Sam,
on Game of
isn't it?
Thrones.
His name's Sam. His name's not Rich, you moron.
No, I said he's with Sam. He's in the Citadel. Did I not say that correctly? God damn it. You guys are all dead to me. Well,
I think
once you catch up on Game of
yourself
Thrones.
with that shitty reference.
Well, I was saying earlier before the show, I was like, is it Meister? And then it got me thinking about Game of Thrones, which is tomorrow, and that's a whole other thing. But we're glad to have you here, Rich. We tried to hook up with you that sounds a little wrong. Tried to hook up with you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, life got in the way, but we made it happen. We're here.
Yeah, we made it happen. So thank you. And we have an awesome show today. Kind of rundown here of the topics we will be talking about. Several of us have played the new Supergiant Games RPG sports game hybrid thing, Pyre, which we're really excited to talk about. We have the lowdown on Splatoon 2, some player unknown battlegrounds talk. I also want to ask Rich a few VR related questions because Rich was partly responsible for getting me into virtual reality.
Push the hard sell on that, yeah.
Yeah. Pushing the hard, and that's what I'm doing now too. I'm pushing the hard sell. That's what happens. the gospel of virtual reality.
I'll
And
preach. It's a beautiful world.
It is. It's a very beautiful world. But the topic of the show was inspired by the idea of a Nintendo 64 classic, and I always let the guests on the show come up with the topic for the show. So I wanted to give you a chance, Rich, to kind of explain, the topic, where it came from, and what you wanted to talk about.
Sure. Well, I'm sure a lot of people saw recently Nintendo put out a patent for N64 controllers similar to the ones they put out just before the announcement of like the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. So I just kind of want to discuss with you guys, if you're picking that same range of like 25 to 30 games, what's your perfect Nintendo 64 Classic system?
Yeah, good topic. I think we'll have a lot of fun with it. And what I wanted to do is I'll start it off and we'll go round robin. I want this to be kind of an open discussion. I would like to kind of go around and have everyone just throw out a game. If we start hitting duplicates, or maybe someone really disagrees, like let's say Fish says Quest 64 or whatever that game. It was called Quest 64, I think.
That was it.
Yeah, and Josh is like, "Fuck, that's a terrible choice," and we can fight about it at that time too. Just have fun with it, open discussion kind of a thing. And I'm sure the first ones we'll be hitting out of the park here are going to be kind of the more obvious choices. Like, for example, if I'm starting this off, I'm going to hit the softball here, right? The most important game on the Nintendo 64, for me personally, of course, has to be the pinnacle, the 10 out of the 10, the game everybody knows and loves, the legend of Pokemon Snap. That's got to be the
I knew
one,
that
right?
was coming. I knew that shit was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice.
Great choice, yeah.
Legend of Pokemon Snap?
Were we not talking about Bomberman 64?
No. I worked really hard on the whole lead up to that joke, so it's way too hard, honestly.
Yeah, you're not much for foreplay. That was rough for you.
I think my girlfriend would agree with you, probably.
Do you
Was
need
she
any
your
motor
girlfriend this
oil?
week? She's not your wife this week?
Not my wife this week. And yes, Fish, if you can send some motor oil my way, that would be great. We're in a really dark phase of our relationship, trying to spice things up. But no, so that's my first choice. Pokemon Snap for me is the one. That's my favorite 64 game. All the memories. One of the most unique games that they've strangely never made a sequel to, and it blows my fucking mind that they have not, because the Nintendo is just turning down money at this point without pushing that further. So that's my first choice. The classic Pokemon Snap, and I'll just throw it in order that I see on my Skype here. What about you, Josh? What are you going to throw into our... First off, is everybody cool with that choice? Are you guys fighting it? What do we got, veto here or what?
That sounds great.
Yeah,
That's got to be there, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
I
That's it's such a unique game that missing that would be a shame. That's something a lot of people
Did we finally
need to
get
see.
that on the Wii U in the US? Did that happen, or was that only Japan?
I don't think we
No
did,
idea.
but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I would say
I
no.
feel like
I'll
there would have
Google
been
it.
a big buzz if we did.
Yeah. Never happened. Fish, were you saying something? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just agreeing with you on putting that on the list because I've never played it. I've only played like the first
What?
level of it.
Oh my god, it hurts my
Yeah.
soul.
Never been to a Blockbuster Snap Station?
I don't even know
Oh.
what that is. What's a Blockbuster Snap Station?
Oh, when Pokemon Snap was, prevalent, you go to a Blockbuster, and they used to have these big Pokemon Snap Stations where you could take the memory card from the N64, put it into the machine, and get prints of your photos from Pokemon Snap.
That is... That's interesting.
That's a
Very
thing that
interesting.
would not exist today, but it's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you for that information.
That is
That's
pretty cool.
Those are better times in our world. What about you, Josh? What do you got to throw in the pile here?
This is tough because my top list sadly is so generic that I feel like I've had to kind of retool it a few times just to make sure we're not all hitting the exact same games. But I mean, you can't have this machine without GoldenEye. It's just it can't happen.
I'm surprised you of all people are picking that game.
And the thing with GoldenEye, and while I agree with you, it totally should be on there, is I think that's when your licensing trouble starts to come in.
Yeah.
Because with GoldenEye, you got double the problems. You got Rare, and you got the Bond license.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
true.
It's true.
It's a matter of Microsoft playing ball with Rare, and I don't even know what would be the deal with getting the hold of the Bond license now in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's probably
nasty.
a nightmare.
But for the sake of conversation, we will pretend that we have,
Yeah, it's there.
these hurdles are not there.
Yeah, no strings.
Yeah. No strings attached. It's just the way me and Fish like it.
Fuck yeah.
Casual sex.
And yet he's been attached to me forever, or the other way around. Yes, GoldenEye, great choice, Josh. Gotta have GoldenEye on there. I do not disagree with that at all.
Yeah. The big issue with the GoldenEye is it also means you need 4 controllers to ship with the thing.
Or maybe 4 friends.
That's true.
That's a problem.
4
too.
friends? Yeah. I mean, if that came with that too, that would be nice, but...
I mean, if they keep up the pattern, any NES Classic 1 controller, SNES Classic 2, so they just double the amount of controllers each time, so the pattern's going to keep up. We'll get 4
Yeah, it's
with the N64.
It's Moore's Law.
Stand-
It has to.
Yeah,
Well,
stands
yeah.
to reason.
And I don't want to deviate too much, but I would just say briefly that that's one thing I was thinking about is the N64 is one of the most popular multiplayer consoles we've ever had. Like, most memories people have, because it's so easy to just pop 4 controllers in at a dorm room or a friend's house or whatever, that's a legitimate issue they'd run into. Like, a lot of people playing those games alone, it's going to feel kind of hollow. So,
Good solo Mario Party game.
yeah, like, what the fuck? GoldenEye, Mario Kart. So, anyways, that's let's just say it's a perfect world where you get 4 magical little controllers too. So,
Perfect.
alleviating all hurdles. GoldenEye is going on the list, and I'm keeping track of these, so don't worry. What about you, Shay? What are you throwing in the pot?
For the first one, I gotta throw in a classic too. It's gotta be Super Mario 64, obviously. That game was just so. Is a really big defining moment for video games. As one of the 2 games on the N64. So, plus, I mean, it's been remade so many times. That's kind of a testament to how good of a game it was. There's been fan remakes and fan sequels and stuff of that nature. So, it's just a classic. I love that game. I always want to play it every few years, and I end up doing so. It's got to be on the list.
Absolutely.
It's the last Mario game Shay cared about. And that's the truth.
Oh man, Odyssey looks pretty good.
Odyssey does look pretty good.
Shay can tell you one day the story of how he abandoned Nintendo. It's a good story. Maybe for another day.
Sounds depressing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like a battered wife with Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, he told his 64 he loved it, but he had to go out and get some smokes. That was the last he ever saw of him.
Never came back. That's Josh's favorite story, going and getting smokes and never coming back. You use that a lot, Josh. I have a feeling this is foreshadowing of some kind.
I've got to be right back, guys. I am completely out of smokes. I am sorry. I will see you in just I love you all, though.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Wait, Dad, no.
Don't forget the milk.
Okay, so Mario 64 is going in the pile, even though it's not as good as Tomb Raider. What do you got, Fish?
The very first kart game that I ever played, Mario Kart 64.
Okay, Mario Kart.
Oh yeah.
Good
Anything else
choice.
to say about that? First
Another
kart game you ever played?
Yeah, it's I played the demo at like some little demo station back when I lived in Japan, and it kind of blew me away with the graphics and the controls, and feeling that controller for the first time with that game. It actually made me want to go out and grab an N64, but I didn't get one till years later. But that was a game that I definitely have fond memories of playing.
Do you have any memory? Did you you said you owned a 64?
Yeah,
Okay.
very briefly though.
Briefly, okay. I just wondering if you had any good memories.